In this lecture, we are going to be working on two new shell commands. The first one is file and the second one is touch. So the file here used to know the type of file that we are working with or we have in our specific directory. And touch command is actually used to create different files. You can create any number of files or any type of file using this touch command. So first of all, we'll just go ahead and use this file command, right? So for that, let's just go to the root directory of my laptop, and for that we will use this change cd, which is change directory, and then we will use this tilde, and it will take us from this desktop files to this root directory, right? So I'll just go ahead and use this ls command. We know that what is ls now, and here we have a couple of different files in this folder. Right, so to know the type of a folder, all you have to do is write file, and if you want to know the type of a specific folder, then just go ahead and write the name of that folder or file in front of this file command, right? So I'll just go ahead and copy this name, and because it's too long to type, and I'll just paste it here, and if I just hit enter, it's telling me that it's a data compression XZ format, right? So it's a .tar.gz file, which actually what is, it's a binary Debian binary package, which means it's a compressed file. Like in Windows, we have .zip files, .rar files, right? So in Linux, we have this Debian binary package, which is controlled with .tar.gz, and it's what it actually is, it's a data compression or data compressed file, right? So that's how it told us that what is the type of this file. Let's just go ahead and see what this command gives us in the case of directories. I'll just go ahead and write file, and then I will hit desktop. And here you can see it told me that this desktop, it's actually a directory, right? So you can know the file type with the help of this command. There are a couple of different options, just like previous commands, that we can use with this command as well. And to know all the available options, all you have to do is write --help, and just like that, we will have a couple of different options here. Of course, we are not going to be using all of them. I'll just go ahead and use a very common, which we use most commonly, right? So for that, first of all, we'll have static. Right, so I'll just give this ls command again to list all the components, and then I will write this file, and then I will write this static. Now remember that static in coding language essentially means everything, right? So you are telling your file command to go in this root directory and then tell the file types of everything, right? So I'll just hit enter. And here you can see it told me about multiple files, right? So in the case of this CUDA repo Ubuntu file, told me that it's a binary Debian package. In the case of all these folders, it told me that they are all directory, right? And in the case of this installing Firefox, it told us that it's a ASCII text file, right? So it's a text file. So that is how you can use this static argument for this file command. So there's another thing that we need, or we can work on, and that is specifying a file directory, right? So, I mean, for example, if you don't want to look for the types of all the files in this root directory, but if you want to see the types of the data on this desktop, you can also do that. And for that, what you have to do is write file, and then you will write the path to the desktop. You will write desktop, and then you will write static here. So it will list all the types of all the files in this desktop directory. I will hit enter, and here you can see it gave you for this Blackbird, it told you that it's a directory. Files, it's also a directory. So here you can see this is the files folder, so it's a directory. This is Blackbird, and this is a directory as well. And this installing Firefox, installing MariaDB, tasks.ash and test, all of these are text files. So you can see all of these as text files. This is test.txt, and it's a file, but it's empty. No, nothing has been written inside it. So it told you that it's an empty file, right? And then we have this Ubuntu, and Ubuntu again is a directory, right? So here you can see we have this Ubuntu, right? So that's how you can use this specific directory name to know the types of all the files that are present in that directory. Moving forward, you can also put a range on the files for which you want to know the type. For example, let's just go to this directory again, or let's just look for your root directory. I'll just put ls here. Now you can see that we have files whose initial letter is an alphabet, right? So you can put a range on it. I mean, for example, if you only want to see the file types of all the files that range from A to let's say V, or A to M, let's say. So you can just write file A M static, right? So what it does, it will list all the files whose first character or letter comes between this range, right? So just go ahead and hit enter, and here you can see that between A and F we only have one file here, or one folder that comes between this range, and that is your installing Firefox, right? And your CUDA. So that's how it told you about the file types of these files, because they were the only files that were coming between this range. And remember, we are talking about files. We're not talking about directories in this case, right? Because we have this desktop, and we have this documents and downloads folder, and they come between this range, right? But they are not listed here. And the reason is that we're talking about files only. So when you put a range, then we only get files. We don't get directories. So that is it for file command. Now let's just clear this prompt and now go to touch command. So what this touch command actually do in Linux is it helps you create multiple files, right? So you could create any type of file using this touch command, right? So first of all, let's just go to this files folder. I just created this for this tutorial. I'll just go to this desktop, and then I will go to this files folder, and I will just open up this file as well, so we can see what we do in the terminal, right? So okay, so here we have a folder which is already created. Okay, so I'll just clear this. Okay, so now we will use the touch command. So just like I mentioned earlier, touch command will help you create any type of file. So let's just go ahead and create a text file. So we can say that touch test.txt, right? So if I'll just hit enter, so here you can see test.txt file has been created, right? And we can also create another file. I mean, let's just go ahead and create touch test.txt. Remember that everything you do in Linux shell terminal, everything is case sensitive. So before we use small d, right? And now we have this capital D. So that means because everything is case sensitive, so it's gonna create another file. It's not gonna give you an error that test.txt is already present there. It's not gonna give you error for that. Instead it will just go ahead and create this new file. If I just hit enter here, you can see the next file has been created, right? So you can also go ahead and see their modification times, when they were created, everything like that. So for that, all you have to do is just use this command, and the command is stat, and then you will write the name of the file for which you want to find or know the stats for. And in this case, let's just go ahead and use this test.txt with small d, right? If I just hit enter, it will give you all the information about this. We have this size, we have this block, we have input-output block, we have it's showing that it's a regular empty file because, of course, we did not create anything. And then here you can see we have this access, and against this access, we have these access rights. These are the permissions, right? So permissions in Linux are given in this format. Then we have this user, unique IDs to this file. Then we have this access, that when was it was last accessed, right? And then we have this modify, then when was this file last modified, and then when was this file last created, right? So these are all the stats for a certain file. You can also check this for the other file, which is test.txt, right? So it's going to give you all the information regarding that. Okay, so what we have, that's how you can create a file using touch command. But there are a couple of different options as well that we can use to enhance the capabilities of this touch command. For example, if you want to change the modification time of a file, right? So for example, here it shows that test.txt was last modified on 21/09/39, right? So let's say I want to update this modification time. So for that, I'll just go ahead and use this touch, and I will write this m, and then I will write the name of the file whose modification time I want to update, right? I'll just hit enter, and then again I will check the stat for that file, right? So here you can see it was before 21/09/39, and now it's 21/11/55, right? So the modification time, this is the modification time. So you can see that the modification time has been changed, right? So similarly, let's say if you want to change the modification time of a file with the reference of another file, right? For example, let's say if you want to change, let's say this file's modification time according to this, and what it actually means is it will just update this file's time, or this file's type, with respect of the other file. So the modification time of this file will be exactly same of this file, or the modification time of this file will be exactly same of this file, right? So that's what relative to another file means. So what I'll do, I just go ahead and I will write touch, and for relative we use R, and then we will write the name of the first file, and then we will write the name of the second file. I'll just hit enter, and then we can check the stat for both of these files to verify the results, right? And then I will again check the stat for another file. Okay, so here you can see the first file, its modification time was 21/09/00, right? And before we saw that we changed the stat or the modification time for this second file, and it was 21/11/55. But now, after we ran this relative argument, here you can see that the stat or the modification time for this test.txt file, it has been again changed exactly equals to the first file that we wrote, right? So this file's modification time has been changed or became equal to this file, right? So that's how you can change one file's modification time or stat or access time or change time according to or relative to other file, right? So that's how you can do it. So in this lecture, we learned that what is a touch command and what is files command, and you saw that how we can use them.